Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear? I think we're ready. Hopefully now all of you have had the chance to enjoy your lunch. Right now I am truly honored and privileged to introduce this afternoon's very special speaker, President Emeritus Frank H.T. Rhodes. Now I know that many of you, he needs no introduction at all, but I certainly think it would be most fitting to at least share a few remarks with you about this very special individual. Frank Rhodes served as our president for 18 years from it's nice to, it's kind of a stereo approach, so we have a delayed reaction, but we'll see how it works. All right, so he served as president from 1977 to 1995 for a total of 18 years. He was our 9th president, and when he resigned and retired in 1995, he was the longest serving Ivy League president. You can hear it again. Thank you very much. We'll keep going. All right. His achievements at Cornell really were many. But what I want to do is just mention a few of them. First, the number of women and minorities on the faculty more than doubled during his tenure. Minorities, as a percentage of the student body, grew from 8% to 28%. Research funding more than tripled from $88 million to more than $300 million. There were 4 major initiatives on his watch: Asian studies, supercomputing, biotechnology, and nanofabrication, and I was even able to say that. And a successful $1.5 billion capital campaign was completed, due largely to his efforts. Frank Rhodes' many contributions in science and education also should not go without mention. He was a member and a former chairman of the National Science Board, which he was appointed to by President Reagan. He was a member of the President's Educational Policy Advisory Committee, which he was appointed to by President H.W. Bush. He served as chairman of 3 leading organizations in the educational field: the American Council on Education, the American Association of Universities, and the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching. He also was a trustee of the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, and he was a member of the board for General Electric. And if that wasn't enough, he has been a prolific author. Frank Rhodes has published widely in the fields of geology, paleontology, evolution, the history of science, and education. His books include Language of the Earth, Fossils, Geology, Evolution, and the Evolution of Life, The Creation of the Future, The Role of the American University, and most recently, Earth Attendance Manual. And we all know that many individuals' success are due to their spouses, and certainly Rosa Rhodes, who has been with him, married for 62 years, with 4 kids and numerous grandchildren to boot. So we're very proud to have both of them here today. And I want to close the introduction with a quote from President Rhodes' book on the creation of the future, the role of the American University, in which he stated, "For all its shortcomings, the American University has been an unambiguous influence for good." Ladies and gentlemen, I am now proud to present to you the man who has been an unambiguous influence for good for higher education in America, Frank Rhodes.
Barry, thank you very much, and thank you, good friends. It is said that all presidents never die. They just lose their faculties. But the great thing is that they do not lose their alumni. And I thank you for coming home this weekend, this very special weekend. All of you who serve the university so faithfully and so well as members of the University Council, as members of the Board of Trustees, and in a host of other areas. I want to add my condolences to those that Barry has already given to Jay Carter, whose father passed away this weekend. All of us, I know, share in sending him our deepest condolences. And I also want to thank my table mate, Katerina James, for the wonderful leadership she's given us now as past chair of the council over these 3 years. And I offer a special thanks to you, Barry, for chairing this TCAM planning meeting and for inaugurating this wonderful lunch together as we kick off the weekend. But all of you, in so many ways, play a vital role in this remarkable institution that is Cornell. And I want to thank you for that especially, because we're about to undergo one of the great transitions in the university as we salute David Scorton and thank him for the wonderful record he has built over his years here on campus, and congratulate him on his new appointment at the Smithsonian. A wonderful appointment and a wonderful choice for the nation's attic, as it's sometimes been called. I also want to say a special welcome on your behalf to Beth Garrett, who will join us in the fall as the 13th president of Cornell University. Beth, who brings a wonderful range of experience at the University of Southern California, will come in running at Cornell, and all of us are eager for her arrival on campus. I had the great benefit of having lunch beside her a couple of weeks ago, and I can assure you we've got tremendous new leadership joining us in the leadership she will give. Not only the 13th president, but the first woman to lead Cornell, and I'm immensely proud of her. But this will be even more of a year of transition than having only David Scorton leaving. Kent Fox, as some of you will know from the news this morning and yesterday, is going to become University of Florida's new president, and will be leaving us at the end of the year to join the University of Florida. He, with David, has borne the huge responsibility of nursing Cornell through the recent recession, and we owe both of them great thanks. And then Susan Murphy, having served so long and so well as Vice President for Student Affairs and Student Services, is also retiring this summer. So with Beth's arrival on campus, there will be a very large changing of the guard that is going to take place. Let me share with you, if I may, my thoughts about the transition that we contemplate. It was Mark Twain who said, "Predictions are very difficult, especially about the future." And there's a sense in which any predictions are likely to be wrong when something as complex as a university is concerned. But David has given leadership through hard times that leaves Cornell superbly placed to make that transition. Superbly placed in the number of mergers on campus that make enormous sense. Superbly placed in terms of student outreach and activities. Superbly placed in the reordering of departments and priorities on campus. But when Beth arrives, she will face new challenges. And there are 2 or 3 challenges that all universities face but Cornell in particular faces them. First of all, what are we going to do to better integrate and to better capitalize on our 4 different campuses? In New York City, we have the Cornell Medical College. We have an extension of the Medical College in Qatar. We have Cornell Tech on Roosevelt Island. And here on the mother campus, we have Cornell. How, instead of losing because of fragmentation, how can we weld those pieces together in a way that makes even greater benefit for Cornell? A second question: what are universities in general, and Cornell in particular, going to do with the new online learning? We have a partnership. We have a partnership with Harvard and MIT. We have courses from here. But what is the net effect going to be of online learning for the typical residential university? Does it make sense to spend only 4 years on campus, or should it be less? Should it be a mixture of the two? There are huge questions and challenges that conventional institutions such as Cornell face with regard to that. Another question: how can we better serve you who are alumni? You give us countless hours of leadership and service. What can we do in return for you, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years out of college, to make a more meaningful contribution to your continuing professional and individual development? These and half a dozen other questions loom on the horizon, and it's those that Beth Garrett will be facing and contemplating as she arrives on campus. One of the great leaders of higher education, Clark Kerr, who was essentially fired from the presidency of the University of California by Ronald Reagan, and who remarked notably, "I came to the university as I went, fired with enthusiasm." Once pointed out that if you go back to the founding of the Lutheran Church in 1563, there are 66 institutions which still exist in identifiable form: the Catholic Church, the Lutheran Church, the parliaments of the Isle of Man and Iceland, and 62 universities. Through plagues and recessions and disasters and transformations in learning on a scale that is unimaginable in prospect and even in retrospect, these institutions have continued to influence the well-being of the future. Each independent, each steadfastly hewing away to the development of young graduates. And so as we contemplate that future, the real challenge, it seems to me, is to develop change in the midst of continuity, and continuity in the midst of change. Your presence this weekend guarantees that we shall help to do that. This sesquicentennial marks a landmark for the development of Cornell. Part of that development success is the leadership you continue to give. Men and women of Cornell, this wonderful gathering today, welcome home. Thank you.
If I may, we do have a few minutes for some questions. So do we have anyone who would like to take unfair advantage of Frank while we have him as one of our captive speakers this afternoon?
I should get away now and say thank you.
Close, but no cigar.
Carol's my name. President Rhodes, you bring up as your second topic something that surprised me greatly, and that was online education, which I spend my years thinking of and helping colleges consider as an alternative. But how do you get a prestigious academic institution to see the advantages of technology in instruction and not fear of it as taking away?
Yes. How do we benefit from online education as a plus, an add-on, and not a detraction from a conventional four-year education? And I have to confess, that's an open question, it seems to me. We are using it, we are providing it. There are faculty members on campus who are providing courses. We have a partnership through the business school, some of you will know more about this than I do, to provide an online degree. But we've barely put our toe in the water on this one. And I think we have to learn how to do it. Is it, for example, conceivable that there could be a 3-year in residence program and a 4th-year equivalent in online learning? Financially, that would make a huge difference. One might say socially, it would reduce the benefit of all that a residential university provides. But that's the question, I think, that's on the table for Cornell and for every other major university.
Yeah, over here, let's see if we can get a microphone for a second.
We hear so much about the spectacular students that come to Cornell, and we hear too now enormous news of their needs, both in emotional support, coping skills, and I wondered if you would talk about perhaps one or two things to begin with. The new Gannett facilities that will be available to make the students a piece of their lives in a greater way, and where perhaps I've heard you speak about the balance about humanities and the sciences, and where perhaps that means we'll graduate more fully capable and stronger, spectacular Cornellians.
The question about the balance between the humanities and the sciences really has two parts. One is what students choose to take, and the second is the range of offerings we provide for those who take them. And that's an extremely difficult thing. There are those who say this is not a Cornell issue only, that really the humanities are not sufficiently career-oriented for students to have a useful experience on campus. I don't believe that. I believe that there's a riches in the humanities degrees that equips one for anything in life, and that we should continue to nurture and encourage them. On the question of, the larger question of time on campus and how it's spent, I think that this institution, I don't speak for others, really does a remarkable job. The whole residential experience on campus, with houses, with live-in tutors, with lectures provided within the houses, this seems to me to enrich the student experience enormously, as opposed to just living in a dorm on campus and coming to lectures. One of the great successes of Cornell, and this is largely the result of Hunter Rawlings' efforts, is to have the house system where people are built into a new learning environment on campus.
I'll take advantage of the second. When you look back and think of your many years contributing to this institution, is there something that stands out in terms of your personal legacy you're most proud of, or a couple things that you're most proud of in terms of what occurred during as part of your time here?
Well, I'm most proud. This sounds self-serving, but it isn't. It's sincere. I'm most proud of the product, and that's you, the alumni. It is extraordinary to meet people in every part of the world who are Cornellians, who talk about the formative experience of the on-campus years, and who still talk about professors who challenge them and influence them for good. I think the product of Cornell in terms of its alumni is something I'm most proud of, immensely proud of. And that's not just the result of one group of people. It's not just the result of the professors. It's the whole environment on campus. Everyone from the janitors to the TAs to the graduate students in general who help the undergraduates. The whole environment on campus has been wonderfully supportive.
Well, can we thank while we have you together, there's just a few additional comments I wanted to make before you move on to this afternoon's programs and sessions. First, to honor Frank Rhodes in this wonderful gathering, we have some special attendees. Those who've been honored over the years as recipients of the Frank H.T. Rhodes Exemplary Alumni Service Award, really on the heels of what you just spoke about. And so with that, I would really like all of those who have been honored to stand and be recognized.